1, 2, 3. Hello everyone, welcome to this Jazzlines Ensemble tutorial session. My name's Xhosa and I am a saxophonist and flautist, and I've been with the Jazzlines crew since 2012 when they very first started the summer school. We've talked a little bit about the history of the blues and how the blues has evolved, and now we're going to talk a little bit more about its form and its structure. Now, music often mimics nature, and as I've just said, evolves. The blues is a perfect form in the same way that, you know, all of the different living species on the planet are all perfect. We've got a 12-bar blues that we're going to talk about today. It can be divided into 3 sections of 4 bars, 3 acts of a play, or like a concerto. We have the exposition, the development, and the recapitulation. Within the blues, we also have the 3 principal tonal centers found within Western classical music. We have the tonic sound. We have the subdominant sound. And the dominant sound. Now, the blues also combines 2 different tonalities that we're all familiar with. The major sound and the minor sound. Here's how those sounds sound together. The blues also combines a long history of Western harmony and melody within the chromatic 12-tone system that we're familiar with. And it also involves all of the pitches in between those notes. Could you just do a boom? Or, yeah. One more time slower. Whew, yeah. So we talked a little bit earlier about tension and resolution, and you can hear it starts very resolved. And as we start to move up, we have all these different strange feelings that we might be feeling. Oh, that doesn't quite sound like, oh, that sounds, oh, I feel relaxed. Oh, no, that hurts a little bit. Can we just hear that one more time again, please? Ooh. Nice. Whoo! That is like a musical massage if I ever heard it. It also incorporates one of the most fundamental components in music from around the world, and this is a pentatonic scale. Pent meaning 5 and tonic meaning tone. So this is a minor pentatonic scale. All of those notes are quite resolved. There's a feeling of release with those notes. They're very settled. Now, you might have come across a scale that is very close to that scale. That sounds like this. Now, people call that the blues scale. And it's a very useful tool because it condenses a lot of the things that we've talked about. There's a lot of tension in there, but there's also the very groundedness of the minor pentatonic sound. Now, as I say, the blues scale is an approximation of all we've kind of covered: the tonic, the subdominant, the dominant, the different tonalities, major and minor, and the kind of 12-tone thing that we've got going on. But it's really only an approximation of those things. If we only use the blues scale, it's like only cooking with peppers and chilies. It's quite an intense taste, but then, after, a few meals, we would be very bored of that. The blues is much more subtle than just one scale. It contains a lot of different things. The blues scale is one very small part of a much bigger picture. Cool. Finally, we're going to get onto some practical where you can join in and some playing, because at the end of the day, it's all good to talk about the blues, blah, 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 but actually the blues is an expression, as we talked about earlier, so playing is a very important part of that. We talked about tension and resolution, and we're going to start with the resolution, because if we start with a strong foundation, we can build anything, just like this symphony hall is built on a very strong foundation. We can build anything up from that, and we can use any different types of tension. So we're going to start with the most resonant sound, which is a major sound. Here's the major sound on concert B flat. Let's have one more crack at that. So this is a major arpeggio, a major triad. You'll probably have covered this if you do some of the music grades, very basic and fundamental structure in the music. Let's just try that one more time. Brilliant. Let's try the same thing from concert E flat now. Brilliant, and now so that was our subdominant. Now we're gonna go to our dominant. If we're moving too quickly, don't worry, just rewind it and make sure you can find those notes on your instrument. Now we're gonna go from F, which is the dominant. Brilliant. So we often associate the sound of a major with the sound of being happy. We often think of the opposite of major as the minor, and this is the sad sound. So now we're going to do the same thing, tonic, subdominant, and dominant, but from a minor sound. Nice. Same thing from our E flat, the subdominant. Now we're going to try from our dominant, which is our F. Brilliant. So this is going to be our symbol for the tonic, because it's our first degree of the scale. This is going to be our symbol for the subdominant, and this is going to be our symbol for the dominant. What we're going to do now is have a little open section where you can experiment with those notes, try the majors, try the minors, and try mixing them both up. I'll play a little bit, and then I'll leave you a bit of space to be able to do the same thing. So we'll just do kind of open on the tonic. we're going to go to our subdominant. Same thing. Now we're going to try our dominant chord. This is from our F. So we've had a little bit of a chance to play on those three. Those are our three key chords. Three are our three, as we said earlier, tonal centers that we're kind of going to use, and that really have very different sounds. I hope you can hear the difference in how they feel, you know. Maybe try and put that into words, or maybe it can't be, I'm not sure. Now we're going to try and add a little bit of tension. We've got our solid structure, and we're going to now add a few extra notes to give ourselves a sense of out and in, tension, resolution. Our solid structure is going to be that B-flat major triad that we've just looked at, B-flat, D, and F. Going to keep the B-flat as it is. When we go up to the D, we're going to play a note above it. We're going to play E-flat, and we're going to play a note below it, D-flat. Here's how that sounds. Can you hear how those notes above and below really want to go back down to that note? Let's try that one more time. So we're just giving ourselves a little bit of a musical massage there. This time we're going to go B flat, D, F, then we're going to go up to a G, back down to the F, then down to an E, and then down to an F. Our F is our resolution, and we're going up and down, which is our tension. Let's hear how that sounds. Brilliant. So we've got a total of 7 notes there. We've got our 3 key notes and our 4 tension notes. Now we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to give you a bit of a pedal, and we're just going to experiment with hitting the root note, the middle note, and then the tension and resolution, and then the same from the F, the top note. Let's give that a go and see how that sounds. Now we're going to try the same thing, but I'm I'm gonna use more tension notes, and I'm not gonna think too much about the resolution. Let's hear how that sounds. So I thought that was going to sound worse than it did, but it actually sounded kind of cool. We're having a lot of tension, you know what I mean? And we really want to be as engaged as possible with the massaging feeling of the tension and the resolution together. Too much resolution and it can sound a bit boring. Too much tension and it can sound a little bit crazy. So we want to kind of be in the middle where we can oscillate between those two things. Now we're going to try the same thing from the subdominant and the dominant just to give you a chance. We're going to run a little bit quicker through this, but feel free to take it in your own time. So let's just do the subdominant first. Let's try the same thing from our dominant chord. And. Brilliant, so we've got a few different tools now. We've got our major triads, our minor triads, our combined triads. We also have these decorative notes that we can look at. There's one more thing I want us to look at briefly, which is the pentatonic that we've done just a little bit ago. Just want to make sure everyone's got that one in the bag. Should we play it together? Yeah. From B flat. Brilliant. So we've got all these different soundscapes that we're working with. Got our tonic, our subdominant, and our dominant. Now we're going to put those things together, because a big part of this music, as we've already seen, is shifting and things moving and pushing and pulling and tension and resolution and something. So we're first going to look at our plagal cadence. Now, for those who haven't come across this before, this is sometimes called an Armen Cadence, and this is going from our subdominant to our tonic. Let's just hear how that sounds really quickly. One more time. Brilliant. So we talked a little bit about the Negro spirituals, and the plagal cadence was a huge part of this, but it's also a big part of Western classical music, so that's why we can see it here. We're finally now going to talk a little bit about the form. We're going to mix all these ingredients together. I mentioned earlier that we have 3 sections. The first section is 4 bars, and this is 4 bars on our tonic. Nice and simple, straight through, no bumps. We're just going to play it straight through, all on B flat, major, minor, whatever notes you want to play, it's up to you. Should we do this one in time? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So it's almost over in a flash, you know what I mean? So that's our 4 bars. Let's do that one more time, and I'm going to count it out for you so that you've got it clear in your head. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, and. Woo, yeah. That's our first section. Going to give you one more chance to play along with that now. 1, 2, 3, and. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Our next section, nice and easy. 2 bars, we're going to play our subdominant chord, so our E flat chord, then 2 bars on our tonic chord, which is our B flat chord. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Woo! Yeah. One more time. 1, 2, and. One more time. 1, 2, 3, and. The only chord that's missing now is our dominant chord. This is the more complex of the 3 sections. It's going to go 5, our dominant for 1 bar, our subdominant for 1 bar, F for 1 bar, E flat for 1 bar, and then 2 bars on our tonic chord, which is B flat. Let's hear how those last 4 bars sound. 1, 2, 3, One more time. 1, 2, 3. Brilliant. Let's try and piece the whole thing together. So we've got 12 bars. First 4 bars, tonic. We've got 2 bars subdominant, 2 bars on the tonic, 1 bar on the dominant, 1 bar on the subdominant, and 2 bars on the tonic. Don't worry too much. I know that's a lot of words, but you'll be able to hear it. Trust me. 1, 2, 3. Tonic. Sorry. Subdominant. Back to our tonic. Here's our dominant, subdominant, and tonic. And again, B flat. Woo! Yeah. E flat. Woo! B flat. F. E flat. And B flat. So there's our blues form. We've already got it all together, and I'm hoping you can see how those different building blocks kind of add up together. Now, we've got a little bit wordy, we've got a little bit theoretical, we've got a bit technical, and I want us to remember that this blues came out of a vocal music, a vocal tradition. I'm kind of limited to 12 notes on the saxophone. I don't have the freedom of this string where I can go in between those notes. I can bend notes, and I can growl notes, so I'm trying to think about how I can really recreate the vocal thing. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to sing some calls, and you're going to sing some responses. Back to what we were talking about earlier about the healing. If I'm telling you about my problem and you tell me, man, I feel the same problem, we're both going to be in it together, so we're going to have that process of healing and togetherness. I'm going to sing, and you're going to sing back to me. Nice and loud. You got it, man. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, woo! A bit more complex. Go on, take a chorus singing. Woo! Woo, yeah. Now back on the instruments. Wow, so there's a bit of call and response for you. Don't worry about getting the, exactly how I'm singing it. I'm kind of going a bit free. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going with my feeling, you know what I mean? So try and emulate that and do the same. Now, we've got a little bit of a difficult task in recreating what's happening here with what's on here. On the piano, we're limited to 12 notes. We can't even bend notes on piano, but we can crescendo through notes. We can think about different chords that we can combine on the piano. On the saxophone, I haven't really got a huge range up and down, but the range that I do have, there's things that I can do with it. Likewise, on the bass, he's not really projecting in a vocal way, but he can go in between, glissando between those notes and emulate the voice in that way. So each instrument's got its own different facets and its own ways of, its own unique capabilities, and likewise for the drums as well. You can actually bend some notes on the toms. Maybe we can hear that kind of a vocal recreation on the drums. Maybe can we have we'll hear a chorus of Rick playing the drums in the most vocal way that he can play it possible. Yeah, man. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, there you have it. You know, it's all in there, and I hope you can see the physicality of Rick. But it's a very physical thing making this music. Obviously, we're thinking a lot and we're hearing lots of things, but there's also a very physical element to how we're making this music and translating it onto specific instruments. It's very important to develop that relationship with your instrument, because at the end of the day, this is my baby. This is the thing that gets me up in the morning and puts me back to bed as well, and wears me out and puts me through a workout, and really allows me to translate what's happening upstairs, to project that into the world. We've got to think about what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're hearing, and then connecting that with our physicality. So I mentioned earlier that this music is it's very easy music, and it's very difficult music. The reason it's easy is because anyone can play it. You don't even have to have an instrument to be able to play this. And if you do have an instrument and you haven't done your grade, whatever, it doesn't matter, because you've got a voice internally that you can express outwards. The reason it's hard is because for many of us, myself included, who are a little bit more experienced on our instruments, we can find it difficult to connect what we're thinking with what we're really hearing, with what we're really feeling, and the physicality behind that. As I mentioned earlier, just to wrap things up, obviously we talked a little bit about the history and the difficult startup that this music came out of, but the fact that this music really encapsulates everything that can be positive about humanity. It's got democracy within it, it's got communication within it, it's got self-expression within it, it's got teamwork within it, it's got reactions, conversations, empathy, emotion, sympathy. It's really the best of it. So whenever I know we're obviously all stuck in our houses at the minute, but as soon as you manage to get out and play with musicians, it's going to be a great thing for you to do, and you'll learn and develop from each other. I've learned a lot from playing with these two amazing musicians. We've got Nick Jerd on the double bass. Give us your best Nick Jerd on the drums, on the bass. Who are you, Nick? Whoa. See, that's how Nick Jerd sounds. This is Rick Yarber on the drums. Let's hear how Rick sounds. Rick sounds good. We talked a little bit earlier about experience building our identity, and you can hear the different experiences and influences that make, hopefully, all of us up. We're just going to play a little bit of a blues now to wrap things up. I think that's probably the most appropriate thing. So stay safe and stay together, and, get reading, get researching, get playing, get shedding. It's all good, man. 1, 2, 3, now.